Friends, good evening. Sunday. Jake and the Hobo, My Summer of Love. Continued stories and tales. Today, we pick up from page 111. In this story, the many adventures of Erasmus P. Hobbs and Jake Meadows. As some of you know, the story is about Jake Meadows, and it says, a 16-year-old girl by the name of Jake Meadows flees her impoverished home in the middle of the night and meets Erasmus P. Hobbs, a good Samaritan veteran, a professional hobo who lives in his handmade RV called Emma Goldman with his wise dog Socrates. In this summer of love, my world had changed, and I learned something I never thought possible, and that was to love myself. Jake Meadows. And today we pick up from page 111. Erasmus and Jake. In Chattahoochee, in a forest, they meet Sequoia, a Cherokee Indian or Native American who lives in the mountains there. Sequoia was as tall as Erasmus, and his long gray hair was neatly braided. With a big wide smile, he said, "Oh, see you. Welcome to our forest, our home." Sequoia and his granddaughters brought more berries to the table. They looked like Sojourner, with light coppery-colored complexions, high cheekbones. Over breakfast, Sequoia and his granddaughters told us how this forest was created by Yehovah. Atsila told the story in Cherokee with Aoka and Sequoia, then translated it into English. The god was Yehovah, and the whole world was covered in water, and from the waters an island arose. Over time, he created trees and plants, but the thing that was most special was the creation of the land. A water beetle helped create more land, and with more lands, the earth was gradually covered with forest. We spent the day and the next with them and learned more creation stories. The girls showed us the fields, the herbs, and the trail leading to their home, deep in the forest. Atsila, the older girl, said, "Though I am happiest here in these woods, I have to finish my schooling, and then I'll study medicine." "How old are you?" "I'm 21, and I'll start medical school at Duke University in 1 month. My sister is at Emory, studying law. We want to help rebuild our nation, and that is part of what we need to reclaim in our forest. Loggers, farmers, trappers have done a great deal of damage for too many years. My great-great-grandfather was Sequoia, like my father. He gave the Cherokee people their alphabet and fought for our rights." Aoka said, "We Cherokees, Cree, and Native Americans have been here for centuries. We had our land stolen, and our dream is to work with others to reclaim it." I was astonished by the boldness and courage of these girls. They knew their destiny. I wish I knew mine. After breakfast, Sequoia and his granddaughters took us up to the trail to their home. The path disappeared, and soon we walked into the oldest part of the forest with massive oaks, maples, dense firs. Sequoia said, "These forests are our heritage and hold the spirit of our ancestors." They were the lifeblood of our nation before they were cut down by loggers. Native Americans have always been stewards of the land, but the greed of the white people has done a great deal of harm. But despite the logging, we managed to save as much as possible, he said, while resting his hand on a massive oak. These trees all have spirits and hold the history and song of our people. Atsile Ahioka will continue the fight on our legacy. and carry on our legacy. Erasmus nodded. Thank you both. I am grateful for what you have done, what you will do, and what you have taught me. We spent the afternoon gathering elderflowers, echinacea, turkey-tail mushrooms, and reishi. They pointed out the sounds of the birds and could tell each one by their call. They noticed things that I never would have known on my own, like the difference between the sounds of the bright yellow hooded warbler, the scarlet tanager, and the chestnut-sided warbler. Erasmus said, "This is incredible. Every time that I come back here, Sequoia teaches me more about the birds and their songs. I often feel like I know so little." Sequoia began to whistle different kinds of bird songs, and his granddaughter joined in. It was a symphony, and I joined with the rap-tap of the woodpecker. I saw and heard this forest in a way I never imagined. It was alive with thousands of birds, frogs, and flowers galore. We stopped by the waterfall to drink in a grotto with the petroglyphs. I asked Sequoia, "Can I ask you, how do you see the difference between the Cherokee and the non-Cherokee? Is there a difference?" Sequoia said, "Our legend tells us that we are all one people, all streams from the one river of life. To be a Cherokee is to be aware of the world and see the world as it is alive. In our 400 years since European colonialism, we've survived the destruction and loss of our land, and our people are strong and proud of our heritage." "Doesn't it make you angry about what happened to the Cherokee and other Native Americans?" Sequoia said quietly, "Not angry, but resolved to restore our land, our rights, and to pass on our culture to the next generation." Atsila said, "Grandfather taught us the wisdom of the forest and these lands, but our father turned away from the tribe and refuses to speak Cherokee. Too many of our people have forgotten our language, and our songs are only heard by the wind. In my generation, we'll not only reclaim our memories, but we'll reclaim our culture." Hayoka spoke first in English so I could understand, and then in Cherokee. She said, "Yes, we are the people of the land. We are the children of the forest. The bear and the eagle are our kin. These rivers run through our veins in the sky and the heavens above. All are our dreams. We will endure as long as we remember who we are and the dreams inside our souls." Sequoia said, "Thank you, Atsila and Ayoka. You will bring the legacy of our people forward and make our people proud." I wish I had that sense of place in people. I don't have a history. I'm a mutt, Irish, Scotch, whatever. I don't have songs or history, I said. Until I met Erasmus. Sojourner and I didn't know the names of the plants. I only know that I lived at the bottom of Black Mountain. I was told the original name of Black Mountain was something like Wahali. "Ah," Atsila said, "Wahali is the Cherokee word for eagle. Long before the colonials came, the Cherokee Nation stretched north and south to Florida. Perhaps," she said, "there is some Cherokee inside of you." I looked at her and her sister. I was surprised and immediately thought of Sojourner. I think I'm a mutt, and I only know a little bit about my grandfather, a coal miner, and the only thing he left me was a locket with a picture of his mother, but it's sealed shut. I never thought about opening it. Erasmus said, "That silver locket? Let me see if I can open it." He took out his penknife and gently pried it open. "Jake, look here." It was my great-grandmother. The picture was black and white and faded, and she had high cheekbones and long braids. Erasmus said, "She looks like you, and possibly Cherokee. Maybe that explains why you instinctively seem more at home in the forest." "Grandfather, what do you think of the name Haluna for Jake?" Sequoia said. "The fortunate one." Haluna. I said I never believed I had not much fortune or future. Now with Erasmus, Socrates, Sojourner, Sequoia, Atsula, Hioa, I am Jake, Haluna, Meadows. Sequoia carved a small piece of wood with Haluna written in Cherokee, and Atsula and Ayoka braided grass together to make a necklace. "Welcome, granddaughter," said Sequoia. "We've been waiting for you." A crow called out from the oak tree near us. I fell to my knees in the grass, held my name in my hand, and the wind blew through my hair. The whole family surrounded me. At last I knew who I was. The next morning, Sequoia and his family came by again. Sequoia said, "I have a feeling we'll see you again soon. Safe travels. And now that you know the forest and the trails, you know how to find us." Hayuka said, "We have a gift for you." It was a dream catcher woven like a spider web. In the center was a small clear quartz surrounded by blue stone and feathers. "It's incredible. It's lovely." "The stone is from these mountains, the blue is to remind you of the river, and the web is to hold all your dreams," said Atsila. Hayoka said, "It will remind you to come back here and see us soon." "I've always kept that dream catcher with me, and we hung it in Emma Goldman above the dining table." Erasmus said, "We have a small present." He took out his drawing pad, and unbeknownst to them, he had sketched Sequoia and his granddaughters in charcoal pencil. "Erasmus, this is incredible. It will be in the center of our house over the fireplace. Thank you." At each place we've been, I felt like I found more of my tribe, and I knew I would see Atsila and Ioka again. We turned to say goodbye one last time, but they had already vanished into the woods. We returned to Emma in the evening. We were heading south to Birmingham, then on to New Orleans. Our bags were filled with mushrooms and herbs from our walk over the past few days. "Erasmus, I feel like I know so little about this forest." Erasmus reminded me. "That's good. It's called Zen mind, beginner's mind. Learning should teach us humility, and we have to empty our minds of all our clutter, mine in particular." We left the campsite early and cleaned up everything. We'll head down to New Orleans, but we'll stop in Birmingham first. Liz and Marty and their friends are expecting us. Over the next few hours, we made our way down to Route 53, Socrates in my lap. Erasmus looked better, though the car accident had taken a lot out of him. Still, after our time at the Chattahoochee, he had his old spunk back. We stopped in Rome, Georgia, at the home of Major Ridge, the Cherokee chieftain who was also a slaveholder. According to many, he had betrayed the Cherokee Nation by signing the Treaty of Echota. Erasmus, Socrates, and I sat under an old oak tree for lunch with salad, rice, and beans. An older woman walked by, and Erasmus invited her to join us. She had long silver hair tied in braids and a peaceful presence. "My name is Anna Ross. This was the house of the man who tried to destroy the Cherokee Nation, Major Ridge. The bitter legacy remains, and though it's been over 100 years, Major Ridge owned over 230 acres and hundreds of slaves." We ate lunch with Amma as she told us the story of this Cherokee chieftain, the 4,000 Cherokees who died on the Trail of Tears, and the hundreds of thousands who lost all their property. While driving south again, there were long stretches of empty roads, and Erasmus said, "I need a break from driving. This is a pretty flat stretch of the road, not too much traffic, and you can do like you've done before, driving Emma around the campsite." "Erasmus, come on, I don't have a driver's license. I'm only a kid." "It's easy. We won't go fast, and I'll be beside you." I slid into the driver's seat, adjusted the chair, and it was one thing driving Emma around a campsite or a parking lot, but this was a seismic change. In his casual way, Erasmus talked me through everything, adjusting the mirrors, reviewing the safety checks, and soon we were off. I felt like I was driving a boat. It wasn't hard. We were cruising at about 40 miles an hour. For the next hour, we stayed steady, as Emma was quite drivable and easy. "That's it, Jake. 10 miles ahead, there's a little rest stop on the other side of the state line." "Sweet home, Alabama," said the welcome sign. I saw a cop ahead at the roadside. Instead of panicking, I smiled and waved at him. One of Erasmus's many quotes that stays with me is, "You catch more flies with honey." In other words, when you see a cop, wave hello. That's terrific, Jake. You drive Emma like you've been driving all your life. I learned from the best. And though I drove for many more hours in Emma Goldman in the years to come, I never forgot that first moment of driving on the road. I looked over to Erasmus and he was smiling. He was proud of me. That was a big difference in my life, having somebody who was proud of me. I never had someone appreciate or value me as much as Erasmus. So it's the bottom of page 116. And just to clarify, the inclusion of the Cherokee piece is part of the story of the forest, and there is no cultural appropriation or whatnot, but simply we want to bring forward this, and we invite people to understand the richness, the vibrancy, and how integral the Cherokee Nation and the Native American experience is. And in their own words, in their own stories, in their own culture and language, so much of which has been lost since the advent of colonialism. And though there is the fashion now to erase this and say that there is no history, or at least that's the politics of it, but in fact, the incredible richness that shaped this land, in large part through the Native Americans, their contribution, their songs, and their words. So please continue to check out People's History by Howard Zinn and other books, songs, and music about the Cherokee Nation. And let's continue with this journey onwards towards Alabama and Birmingham tomorrow. And a good night to you. Namaya out, and please consider buying this book at VermontArtPoetryPress.com, Kindle, Amazon, etc. like this. Just type in the words, Jake and the Hobo. And thank you for considering this. And also please keep in mind our other books like God, Sex, and Politics, which you can see here, are other books of Vermont, My Home. Thank you. Good night.